Good evening with another session with Leverage TV. And it's a very interesting session today. Let me introduce myself. I'm Priyank Jain, Vice President at Leverage Edu. And I have with me today Remmyatha Varghese from University of Queensland. And we'll kind of attempt a session on Ask Me Anything with Remmyatha Varghese. And we'll be happy to kind of take any questions that you might have with respect to University of Queensland, education in Australia, anything about particular in programs, and in general that you might want to ask for study abroad. Let me give you a quick introduction for Remmyatha. Remmyatha Varghese has been with University of Queensland for about 2 to 3 years now, and she manages the recruitment here in India for international students. Very honored to have you here with us, Remy, and very excited to kind of host you and probably have this session with you where students can ask you a lot of things. Leverage Edu has been working with thousands of students today who are eager to explore study abroad in Australia, UK, Canada, USA, and Australia is one of the hottest destinations that we get students in. So would be kind of very useful session. I'm hoping to get many questions from our viewers. We've also kind of put a survey before this where we got a few questions. So the format of the session will be I'll first ask you questions that we have gathered from some of our students and participants, and then probably we'll open the floor for impromptu questions and the question that we are gathering on our social media. But before I start it, over to you to just quickly give a quick introduction to our viewers and help us through that. Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Priyank, for the introduction. My name is Remmyatha, as he introduced. I am working with the University of Queensland as a senior advisor for recruitment. Most of you would have seen me or have attended sessions where I would have been a part of. We are a top 50 university in Australia. When you think about University of Queensland, we are one of the founding members of the group of 8 universities, one of the leading universities in teaching and research. UQ is ranked second in Australia in the academic ranking of world universities, 47th ranked in the QS World University rankings, with over 47 UQ subjects ranked in the top 100 as well. And we also have a very good reputation with research, where we are ranked first in research as well in the Nature's Index. And another highlight of University of Queensland is that we have our professors who have won maximum number of national teaching awards than any other universities in Australia. And obviously our students have this opportunity to learn from our professors who are making groundbreaking discoveries through their research. Yes, I'm truly excited to be part of this session and to welcome your questions, to answer them for you.
Great. So let me ask you, first of all, one of the questions that I had before I kind of take students' question. What are some of the most sought after courses in University of Queensland? And I understand that this is one of the most sought after university, not just in Australia, but in the world as well. So, so what are one of the few of the most sought after courses that students can explore, both for undergraduate studies and postgraduate studies?
So we have a total of about 6 faculties that we have at UQ, which covers almost most of the study areas. And we have about 2,000 odd majors that students can study with us. So that pretty much covers almost most of the study areas. You talk about engineering, which we've been pioneers in delivering engineering. We have business, we have science, we have courses which include behavioral sciences like psychology, pharmacy, physiotherapy, social work. Then we have humanities, arts. These are all popular courses with us, medicine. So we offer these courses with both undergrad and postgraduate levels. To talk about some of the key programs, we have a lot of students applying from India for courses like bachelor's and master's in engineering. You have Master of Business. We have a premium MBA program. We do have courses like psychology, which is gaining a lot more popularity with COVID and other situations. We have bachelor's in science. We have data science. We have business analytics that students can take up, finance. So you talk about all of these courses, which are quite popular for Indian student amongst Indian student community. So we have all of those courses that we can actually pick up. Yes. You offer a wide range of courses. Yes.
Great, great. One of the other questions that we often get, especially with respect to University of Queensland, and since it's not based out of, let's say, one of the centers like Melbourne or Sydney in Australia. So, how difficult or easy it is for a student who is enrolling himself in the university to kind of explore post-studies opportunities, be it with respect to the jobs, be it with respect to the networking opportunities, and not just limited to any specific course, but how easy or difficult it is, because to be very honest, Australia is a large continent, and it gets a little difficult to kind of make a to and fro, unlike possibly, let's say, UK. So how does this compare? Let's say, what are the advantages or disadvantages of the university not being in some of the cities like Melbourne or Sydney?
Okay, so I think that is a mixed question about Australia comparing to other countries, and also where UK is located, that is Brisbane, comparing to other cities in Australia. So maybe I'll give a little idea about Australia. I'm very sure when people think of Australia, they are thinking about wide open spaces of bush, green turf, kangaroos, koalas, clean air, water, tourism, a lot more, right? But Australia has much more to offer than the usual expectations. As well as being a popular holiday destination for millions of tourists, Australia also has a huge amount to offer prospective students, whether it be academically, culturally, or socially as well. And if you know, Australia is the third most popular student destination in the world. And Australia's higher education market boasts a very high quality offering. Now, while the country is home to 39 universities, 7 of these institutions are ranked in the world top 100. And moreover, the system in Australia is highly regulated by the Australian government in order to maintain high standards. And the curriculum is very agile, constantly reviewed, updated to match the industry standards. And also with its proximity to Asia Pacific, foreign companies always see Australia as the place to do business. So more than 40% of Australia's top 1,000 companies by revenue are foreign owned. So this is also an indicator about the opportunities students can have in terms of employability. And to add to it, 7 of the best student cities are in Australia, right? And you talk about major inventions of Australia. You talk about the black box flight recorder, Google Maps, Wi-Fi, the way you order food, the way you travel, everything has been changed by these inventions, right? So Australia has much more things to boast rather than just about being a tourist destination. Now, talking about where University of Queensland is located, University of Queensland is located in Brisbane, which is the capital city of the state of Queensland. And if you know, Brisbane is ranked as the 10th most livable city in the world, according to the Global Livability Index in 2021, very recent update. Now, Brisbane, like I said, is its proximity to the Asia Pacific region, and Brisbane is among the Asia Pacific cities with the largest GDPs. And it's the fastest growing city in Asia Pacific. So this is also a reason why this particular city stands out. And like how Sydney, Melbourne has been popular, Brisbane is also one of the non-regional cities which has seen development and is also really, really highly developed. And Brisbane is also one of the major business hubs in Australia. You talk about their strengths in mining or banking or insurance, transportation, information technology, tourism, real estate, food. These are all very good in Australia. So they are at par with, other countries, but at the same time, Brisbane here is also at par with other cities like Sydney and Melbourne as well. And to talk about Brisbane for an international student, I think it is important to understand that Brisbane has the lowest population. It's only 2.4 million people, 29% of the residents are born overseas, very immigrant friendly state. This is also good news for students because they are more welcoming of international students. And with this city rising up to be the fastest growing city, it is also one of the leading cities for employment in Australia. So that is one advantage that students definitely have. And obviously good weather all throughout the year, 15 to 25 degrees. Everybody would want to live in a place which has got sunshine all throughout the year, right? So we have so much to offer. So I think it is definitely not a difficult comparison for us. It is also about students being educated of they having one more city which is prospective to be added into their list of interested cities. And obviously, to actually link all of this, if you really know, group of 8 universities in Queensland, we are the only one. Okay, we are the only one group of 8 university in Queensland, and that gives us a lot of advantage where when companies are hiring good resource, when they're looking at hiring good people, obviously a good quality delivery would also come from University of Queensland. So that's our good advantage.
Great. I think that is very helpful for not just students, but a lot of people who are considering Australia as a destination. Because, like I said, a lot of people, and especially students, when they think about Australia, they think about largest 2 cities, Melbourne and Sydney, and that is how most people, not just for Australia, when they think about the study abroad plans, they think in terms of cities rather than in terms of universities. So I think this information is very, very helpful to all of our students. Some of the facts even I didn't know about Brisbane. I've always known that to be a great destination for tourism, but I didn't know it has so much to offer in terms of the post-work opportunities as well. So coming to the next question that I think a lot of our students had was, what is the general application process at University of Queensland? Has there been a change to that? And so how much time usually, and what are the things a person should keep in mind while applying to let's say different undergraduate and postgraduate courses in the university? So if you could throw some light there, would be really helpful.
So if a student is looking at applying to the university, the first step is for them to look at the suitable program. Now, always do not go by the title of the program because there could be a lot of subjects that you would be studying within majors and minors. For example, if you go for Bachelor of Arts, we have over 44 majors and minors that you can combine, right? So in terms of requirements, it is important for you to be, so one is to choose the program that you're interested in, look at the eligibility requirements. Our website is very, very student friendly. The moment you know which program you're planning to apply for, you can search in terms of the subject area and also the program. And once you choose the program, you can go to the entry requirements, which will give you an idea of how to assess the eligibility. Now, there are 2 primary eligibility criteria. One is your academic eligibility. Second is your language proficiency. And if there are any more additional requirements that need to be fulfilled for certain specific courses. So now the process goes like this. You make an online application. If you are applying through a consultant, you contact your consultant. You provide all your documents. They would fill up the application for you, upload your documents in the portal. Once we receive the set of documents and the application is submitted by the student or the agent, if it is a complete set of application, we are able to offer the student a place in the program through an offer letter in just about 5 working days. But if there is anything pending on your application, you will be notified about the same through your student portal, and then you can submit the remaining documents to make sure that your application is steadfasted. And students have an option to avail a full offer or a conditional offer. Now, what is the conditional offer? Conditional offer is when a student has certain conditions attached to the offer, but we still give them the offer saying that you will have to meet those conditions within this particular time. A full offer does not have any conditions. That means you've met all the conditions of the offer. Now, conditional offers are also given out to students in certain situations wherein minimum requirements for an offer is met. And obviously both conditional and full offer is an indicator that you're closer to getting a place in the program. Yes.
Got it. Again, I think very helpful information, and it gives a lot of food for thought on how one should go for applying, how much time does it take, and what are the things that should be kept in mind. although we leverage it to kind of helps with all of that, but always good to know. The next question is around cost of studying there. So one of the biggest decision makers when a student is thinking about their study outside of India, one of the biggest things is about not just tuition fees, but also the other costs attached to it, be it accommodation, be it living expenses. So how should one think about, and I don't want to, again, I understand a lot of different courses might be having different tuition fees, and so it will be possibly hard for you to kind of generally comment on that. But whenever a student is planning to kind of pursue his education, what kind of budget on a general level, or what kind of things should he keep in mind when he's planning his, let's say, both post-graduation and undergraduate studies for University of Queensland?
So all across our undergrad and postgraduate programs, we have a range of tuition fee. So let's say for a year, the range would be from 40,000 to 45,000 Australian dollars. Now, interestingly, we have not every year, as you know, universities would really increase a certain percentage of tuition fee. But since we have the COVID situation, we have not increased our tuition fee in the last 2 intakes. So that's a good news. So we have this range of 40,000 to 45,000 for a year for the tuition fee across both undergrad and postgraduate programs. However, students would also have an option to apply for scholarships. So we also have scholarships that students can apply for that can actually help them finance their studies as well.
And just a follow-up question on this, what kind of career assistance is UQ providing to the students who are already studying there in light of the pandemic? Most of the students who are studying in a distance mode. So what kind of career assistance is UQ providing them, and what kind of things a student can expect or is already expecting on that on those lines?
Great. Obviously, students are studying virtually right now. Even if a student is studying virtually, or if a student is actually on campus attending the on-campus lessons, as we started delivering classes online for students who are outside of Australia, we also shifted all our student support services to the virtual mode as well. So students are not disadvantaged being in a country away from Australia. Now, we have good amount of support in terms of our employability support and also well-being as well. Now, if a student is actually thinking about having a successful career, it is important that they start their journey with their career services and the student employability teams right from the time they start with their academics. So now we have so many platforms where students can network. Almost 60% of a student success comes from networking. So we have excellent opportunities for students to network through platforms like Virtual Village or Study Bubbles. We have opportunities for students who are interested in venturing out their own through our UQ Idea Hub. We have the startup support. We have, funding support as well for startups. And to be much more supportive, we also have student employability teams for all faculties as well. So if a student wants to take up internships, we have been having students who are doing virtual internships as well while they are studying. Even though they are not able to travel to the campus, they are also doing virtual internships. And there have been so many resources. Now, a success for a student will definitely depend on the use of resources, right? Now, they have programs like Student Employability Award. They have short-term global experiences. They have semester exchange programs, study abroad programs. They have faculty mentorship programs. Students who are women leaders, they want to be women leaders. They have mentorship through women leaders as well. So there are so many opportunities. And if you really go to the employability and careers website at UQ, that page in the UQ website, it has got wide range of opportunities, plethora of options where students can actually tag themselves into each of these resources, every quarter, and add up a lot more in their CV to make their profiles really, really well prepared for a successful job hunt. Yes. we have all support for students that way.
Great, good to know. That's very encouraging for all the students. The next question, and I guess this is more related to something that has happened over India, and I don't know if you are aware, but the Central Board of Secondary Education has just cancelled their the 12th board exam. So we get a lot of questions from students who do not have their scores yet, and who wish to go out for studies and who wish to kind of apply to these colleges, and most of these deadlines must be approaching. So what is the way out for them? How are you kind of planning to, I guess the government has come out with the criteria for the exams as well. So how should they prepare themselves for applying? So what are the transcripts that you are looking for from them? And this is not just for 12th class students, but a lot of university graduates as well who are looking to apply for postgraduate admissions do not have had their exams yet, or do not have their mark sheets yet because of various cities under lockdown. So what are the steps and what are the process? How does it change for them, and how should they go about making their application when they're thinking about it?
Yes, UQ is understanding of the current situation that students are put into or is going through, even for undergrad students and even the postgraduate students. So I'll probably explain about the process that we have in place. So I told you about the conditional offer that we can issue students with pending documents where they meet minimum requirements. So what we did for the 12th standard students who are looking at undergraduate programs is we allowed them to apply to the course. We gave them the conditional offer letter depending on their pre-board scores and the predicted scores. So if a student has written their pre-board scores or predicted scores, and if they have provided their 11th grade marks, and when we assess their progress across academics through their 10th, 11th, and 12th, and if we find them to be a student who can be given an offer letter, we have awarded them with a conditional offer. So that way, a student can actually commence their program without any delay, conditionally. So when a student accepts their offer conditionally, when they meet the requirements of a conditional acceptance, like IELTS, then they can go ahead with conditional acceptance, and then they can commence their program. And we're giving them time until October 30th to submit their actual mark sheets or original mark sheets by that time. So that is one option that students have. Now, if you look, that is for undergraduate students, so they're not halting their studies, right? Across IB, CBSE, they have pre-board and predicted scores being given to them. So that is easy for them to apply and get commenced. Now for postgraduate students, what option we have given is if a student has completed their second last semester, have got their required grades until then, and if we find them eligible, we are also giving them an opportunity to commence with a conditional offer. So they can receive a conditional offer. For example, it's an engineering student. If they have completed until their 7th semester, we give them a conditional offer. They can commence conditionally and submit their final degree certificate and their final transcript towards 30th of October. So that way they still commence with us in July without actually taking a break in their studies or leaving a semester behind. And it is important, Priyank, to know if a student is conditionally commencing that they should have met their English language proficiency requirements.
Got it. Makes sense. And again, I think this is very helpful for the students, because there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of anxiety among students, especially when they are looking to kind of apply to all these universities. So that is very helpful bit of information. One other question that again stems from all this anxiety among the students, and there's a lot of uncertainty. One question that we keep on getting is, in light of all these uncertainty, well, if a student gets an offer and after accepting the offer, can he or she defers the admission to the next intake? That is one question that we often get from the students, and I guess that has only increased in the last 6 to 8 months, because there's a lot of uncertainty and they don't want to lose out on an year, but also want to be sure about their plan B and C, just in case something or the other comes up. So what are the options that they have in case they want to defer their admission after accepting the offer, or how should they go about it in case they receive an unconditional offer or a conditional offer. So how should they go about deferring their admission?
So we do have a deferral policy in place. If a student is deferring the offer before commencement, it is an easy deferral process. There is no penalty attached to it. Student can raise a request through their portal or write to the admission team in the deferral request email ID, and they can place a request for deferral. And we allow students to defer twice in a year, or not in a year, or probably 2 semesters. If it is, they have applied, this year, now for July intake, or probably this intake, now they can defer for 2 intakes, right? So we allow deferrals for 2 intakes. Okay, so that is something that we can do. Now, if you look at a student who has already commenced the program, so if they have commenced the program, then they are given option until their census date. So now commencement for us is on 19th July. I'm giving you an example of how it works. So 19th July is our commencement date, and we are giving students time until 30th of August for them to see if they are not happy continuing their studies online. We will try our best to make sure you have a great learning experience. Due to some reasons, if a student is unhappy, we are giving them an option to withdraw or defer without any penalty as well. So that is a great opportunity, because there's a lot of uncertainty, like you said, and everybody's confused as in what kind of support they would have. So this will give you an opportunity to actually attach yourself to the course, experience how UQ is supporting our students. And then if you are unhappy, we are happy to sort out things for you. And if you're not able to still sort it, you also have this option to defer or withdraw without any penalty. But if a student chooses to withdraw or defer beyond the census date, they would attract some financial penalty and academic penalty as well.
So these are the questions that we had. Would definitely like to kind of take a couple of questions that we received from some of the audience that who are watching this live. So one of the questions that we've received is so the question is the person has received an offer for admission for the academic year 2020-2021, and the first year has been completed in the distance mode. Now he wishes to complete the next year, the last year of his education at the university. So how should he go about it? What is the process for the same?
So you mean to say the student has commenced his studies already?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the student has studied for 1 year. Is that correct? Now the student wants to go on campus and study. Is that the second part of the question?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So obviously you will be able to study on campus once we have the borders opening up. Now, as you know that, Australia was the first, Australian universities were the first to open campuses to their students. While every other country was under lockdown, Australians were successful in containing the virus and opening up their primary schools and universities to their students. Now, following the success of the first pilot program to Darwin, we have more states gearing up to welcome international students. And while the approvals are in place, it is a process that takes weeks and months to implement. So hopefully this is getting us closer to your plans of coming and studying in the country. So I hope that is something that we have to stay positive about.
Thanks. And I think that answers the question. So the next question we have is UQ waiving off IELTS scores for the upcoming intakes or for the next intake, or do you have any plans of waiving off IELTS or any such English proficiency requirement?
So I think it is important to know why do universities request or ask for English language proficiency tests. Now, as you know, we all come from a non-English speaking country. That means English is not our first language. So we are to prove our proficiency so that they are sure that we will come into our country and we are able to converse and do justice in the program that we are doing, right? So that is why English language proficiency requirements are to be met by a student. Now, the requirement is also supplemented by the visa requirements of the country, as it strengthens the visa chances and gives a proof that, okay, student is able to do well in their course. Now, due to COVID situations, without diluting the process of selection, we have looked at several alternatives. Though we have not waived off IELTS requirements, we have looked into several alternatives where we can look at high school English scores for certain cases, obviously on a case-to-case basis. We are now accepting TOEFL home edition test scores as well. We accept IELTS, we accept PTE. So these are options that students have. So it is not waived off, but obviously we have found out several alternatives to support students during this current situation.
I think this is the last question that I take. And this is again an interesting one. What courses have the highest acceptance rate at UQ? So, and I guess this is on lines of, let's say, if one is looking to apply and meets all the eligibilities. So what are the chances that he or she will get through to the university? So what are the highest, what courses have the highest acceptance rate at UQ?
Okay, it's a tough question to answer because we have wide range of questions. Wide range of programs, which will fall under this particular question. Now, UQ's general acceptance rate is 40%. And we also have certain programs which has got higher acceptance rate, but we are also a top 50 ranked university. And with that comes, the challenge of having some, competition in terms of your entry as well. We're very particular about the academic score of a student. We value the student's other achievements, but we have to keep in mind that the student actually fits into the entire cohort in terms of diversity, in terms of what they can contribute to the cohort. All of these things do matter. So I think it is easier to actually talk about which programs have the lowest acceptance rate. That would give me reasons why other programs have higher acceptance rate. Now, when you look at the lower acceptance rate, there are few programs that accept limited number of students. Now, why do they do that? Is because these are programs like physiotherapy or psychology or counseling or nursing. And these programs actually lead to professional registration in the country. And hence it has limited number of seats in the program because we can maintain a very good staff to student ratio, because these are programs that are actually human behavior related. These are all behavioral sciences and requires us to have that kind of a ratio put. And obviously, we also have other premium programs like our MBA, which is ranked #1 in Queensland, top 50 worldwide. And these programs have some competition to get into it. So I think it is good, well explained. In a way, we identify why there are lower acceptances for certain programs and why other programs have a good number of students being accepted onto them. But even if you ask that question, if your intent is to understand if you have a very good staff to student ratio, please understand your common tutorials, seminars would happen together if you have a larger student community or if you have a larger cohort. But when you look at your tutorials, you'll be grouped into small groups so that you can study well with your fellow students. We can maintain the diversity in the campus and learn from each other easily. So yeah, I think that answers my question, Priyank. Does it? Does that help?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess the question also was because if, let's say, someone is is eligible for boarding couple, and this is something that we kind of encounter on a daily basis when students are very confused, and when students are eligible for more than one courses and they have different range of kind of interest. And just another day, I was casting a student who was interested in both journalism and fashion designing. So sometimes it's important to understand what a student really likes to go. And one thing that they like to understand is when they are looking for a particular university of their choice, what are the chances for them to get through? And that is, I think, why students need to know and why they want to understand that what is easier to get in, fashion designing or journalism. So just kind of sharing an anecdote that why a student might be interested in some question like this. But that definitely answers the question. And
but I would like to add, sorry to cut you, Priyank, but I think for a student who's looking at getting into a university, I think the best formula to be more successful is to plan way in advance. It is important that a student applies very early. Now, from a student's perspective, you apply to the program. If I am a student, I would think about applying to the program, submitting my documents. What I do from my end is done. Now the university has to give me an offer. But from the university's perspective, they would definitely have to look at a lot of things in terms of admission process. If the student is meeting the eligibility, review your documents. If there is anything pending for a student, we would come back to you asking you for submitting those documents. And in the current situation, if it requires for you to go to your university or college, ask a document that you need to submit to the university, how much time is it going to take for a student? Definitely, if there is a lockdown in your city, this can lead to delayed outcomes as well. So it is always advisable that you start very early in the process. And when we spoke about the acceptance, also the lowest acceptance programs definitely will have an earlier deadline. So for students to actually come into the program, they will have to apply way in advance. And please know University of Queensland accepts applications for an intake 1 year in advance, almost 11, 12 months in advance. So you can actually start your processes way early with us.
Yeah, and that's what we suggest our students to kind of start their process a little early so that they have enough time to plan, to apply, and just in case it doesn't work out in some of their preferred university, they can always kind of fall back upon plan B or plan C of having a time to apply to some other university as well. I think that is also one of the things that we are trying to solve with the students. Again, I think that is it. Those are the questions that we want to take with you today. And the session has been very helpful. A lot of questions and a lot of questions, not just about UQ, but about education in Australia in general were answered. How students should plan their studies in Australia, how students should think about the finances, what are the courses and what are the programs that they can think about going. And especially in light of uncertainty that has been induced by the pandemic, how should one think about applying to the university in case he's not sure? So I think it has been a very, very insightful session, and hope our viewers and students will make enough of it. And I definitely enjoyed it to have a kind of to have a discussion with you. And so this is it from us. Any closing or parting thoughts, Remy, before we kind of wrap the session up?
Yes, to all students who are interested in overseas education, we are all understanding of the current situation you are in, but please know that we have an excellent support system. We would always be happy to support you at every step of your way towards your international education. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have more questions, and please attend the sessions. We have a lot of events that we do where students can understand how we support them from faculty, from our student employability teams, from the student services team. So be sure that you attend these sessions and you will have much more idea of what UQ is, and also have much more confidence about your study abroad decisions. So I wish you all the best.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot again for coming here and have a chat with our students and us. Has been a wonderful session. I hope all the questions that the students have, they've got an answer to that and much more. Have a good day.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.